right now. If it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to happen in New Orleans. And if it's going to happen in New Orleans, it's going to happen because of Woodson High School. Now, I know all the English teachers in the room are getting their red pens out and are going to circle those ifs, so let's start talking about what we're talking about here. Make no mistake about it, New Orleans was founded on the institution of slavery. Socially, politically, economically. Black boys and girls weren't allowed to read, they weren't allowed to go to school. Even after the Civil War, it didn't get any better. In fact, it took till 1917 to actually have a high school that served African Americans in the city of New Orleans. Even after Brown versus Board of Education, desegregation didn't happen. We've seen this familiar story. Black student enrollment stayed steady, whites flee. If this is a bell curve, all the schools in Louisiana, and we know how these work, over here, these are the schools that are above average. Over here would be the schools that have below average or struggle. 60% of students in New Orleans go to the bottom 10% of schools in the state of Louisiana, whereas only 17% of students in New Orleans go to above average schools in a state that ranks what, consistently 48, 49 out of 50. So the problem is absolutely clear, and what we're haunted in New Orleans is this number right here, 5%. Because if you're a black student and you go to a public school in New Orleans, you have a 5% chance of graduating from a 4-year college. If it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to happen in New Orleans. Out of tragedy, out of Hurricane Katrina in 2005, policymakers, community leaders, principals, teachers came together and said, enough is enough, let's figure this out. There was more autonomy and agency put in schools. Schools could determine curriculum and professional development. And what we've seen in just 10 years, the percentage of students in New Orleans who've gone to failing schools has plummeted. In just 10 years, ACT scores have gone way up. In just 10 years, the amount of students taking the ACT has gone way up. In just 10 years, the graduation rate is almost 20 percentage points higher. But what we've also seen is that the open enrollment high schools in New Orleans that have seen this growth have hit this wall of about an 18 on the ACT, that test you need to get into college. What we've also seen is that those AP tests that kids need to take that mark true college readiness, well, in New Orleans, these are the two schools that handpick their kids, the two schools in green, Franklin and Lusher. Those are select admission schools. Kids are doing well on the APs there. But still at the open enrollment schools, passage rates are below 5%. And so that's where Woodson High School comes in. Now, when we think of transformational schools or organizations that have creativity, we think of these radical changes. We think of something that dramatically is different than the status quo. When in fact, a lot of times it's just taking the right ingredients, the right systems, the right best practices, and putting it all together. Woodson High School knows that we can't just do this alone. And so it's built out of a K through 12 continuum. For the past 5 years, I've been the principal of the highest performing middle school, Kip Central City Academy. And now those students are going to loop up to the high school and set the pace for the city on ACT performance. And we're going to do that by being really good at 3 things, 3 ingredients. Now there are plenty of schools that are great at academics. There are plenty of schools that have vo-tech or career training programs, and there's plenty of schools that prioritize football or programming. But there's no school that's taking these 3 ingredients and putting them together. Academics. Each student at Woodson High School is going to have their personal computer. This is going to allow for differentiation, feedback. No matter what level you're at, you'll get the instruction that you deserve. At Woodson High School, we're going to have vo-tech or career training options. Kids will be exposed to different careers and learn about careers other than doctor, lawyer, athlete. We'll have pre-engineering, health services, and software IT. These are the industries that business leaders and community leaders are saying their jobs ready today and that kids and parents want. And lastly, it wouldn't be a New Orleans high school without the program. Every student at Woodson High School will get to participate in extracurricular activity, and we're putting the resources, time, and staff to make sure that happens. So, teachers, leaders, this can only happen. We can only build this high school that will set the pace for what ACTE performance can look like if you come on board. Please come work at Woodson High School.